Hello and welcome to Box Office Chat, the weekly show from Movie Burner Entertainment where we discuss the top 10 films within the United Kingdom's box office. And this is for the weekend, November 16th to 18th, 2018, and joining me as ever to discuss the various films in this week's box office is Stephen. What have we got at number one this week, Stephen? It's not a surprise, is it? Let's be honest.
It's not a surprise, John. It is Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. This is a no-brainer. It was going to come in at number one. We knew that. It's come in with a weekend grossing of 12.3 million. You've been to see this movie. I've not yet seen it. I know that one of our writers, Philip Henry, is already reviewed it. We'll talk about it more in depth on Thursday.
Yes.
So it's come in there. It's expected to come in at number one anyway. No surprise there. But I'll let you in anyway, John, with some brief thoughts on your experience.
Yes, well, first things first, I'll discuss the box office performance, Stephen. Also, it's come in at number one. It's grossed £12.3 million. I've not done a great deal of research here, but I'm not sure how that tallies up with previous Harry Potter films and also the previous Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them release from a couple of years ago. So I'm not sure in terms of comparisons how good or bad that is. But in terms of worldwide performance, it's doing pretty swimmingly here and just about everywhere else in the foreign markets outside the United States. I've actually read a couple of articles from Forbes, who are usually pretty good with their box office articles, and they have been discussing its poor performance apparently in the United States. Apparently it's one of the worst grossing Harry Potter releases to date. It's still grossed $117.1 million though in the States. Total worldwide performance though to date sitting at $439.7 million. It's already made a profit. It's got a $200 million budget. I'm sure it will go on to gross at least $600-700 million, so it's not at the end of the world. The end is not nigh here. And $12 million opening in the United Kingdom is not to be laughed at. It's very decent.
Pounds?
Pounds, yes. It's even better than that. I think that probably translates to about $20 million, so that's not too bad. In terms of the film itself, I did go and see it. It wasn't outstanding by any means. I've seen some people describe it as the worst Harry Potter film to date, and I'd probably agree with that. It's not going to trouble any of the classic Harry Potter releases from obviously the early 2000s straight through to 2011, obviously with the Deathly Hallows. It's not even as good as the previous Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Still get some enjoyment. But as I did say to you before we come on, Stephen, the story was it was disappointing. And this is a J.K. Rowling script. She actually did the script. So I was quite surprised. Quite a muddled affair. Didn't seem to really know what it wanted to be. It's titled The Crimes of Grindelwald. We don't really see him do anything of note. Out with a very exciting opening, 5 to 10 minutes. We don't see him do a lot until maybe the last 5 minutes of the film. Mm-hmm. He's flitting in and out. He's sitting on rooftops. He's banding together like-minded individuals. He's trying to uprise and basically out the wizarding world. They want to take control of the muggles or the non-magies. There's a scene at the end where he's having a meeting with all the wizards he's been able to tempt into this arena in Paris and showing them if they don't step up to humans and humankind and the non-mages that you will see World War II taking place. This takes place prior to World War II. And the story felt muddled. There was too many characters. There was too many side plots. In terms of performances, the directing incidentally from David Yates. This guy's directed numerous Harry Potter films. Can't slag his direction. Really enjoyed the cinematography. I thought the visuals were stunning. Music, as ever, absolutely outstanding. It really had that magic touch and some beautiful string arrangements and choir moments in there. Performances, I thought Johnny Depp was outstanding as Grindelwald for what he had to do. He didn't have a huge amount to do, that's not his fault. When he came in, he had a big speech, which was just incredible. Eddie Redmayne's again outstanding as Newt Scamander. I thought he carried the film with ease. Out with him, I thought Zoe Kravitz as Lita Lestrange was very good, and Ezra Miller has been very good as Credence Barebone. He also has a massive reveal at the end, a twist, which I'm not going to divulge. I may get into it on Thursday, but that was a very cool twist at the end. Ended things on a high. Clear to me, Stephen, briefly as I'll try to round this up because I don't want to get bogged down with the story and all of that. That's what we're talking the Movie Burner blog rundown for. But it's clear to me that this film is just a connection from the first one into the wider universe. It's laying down the groundwork for the films to come. I believe it's a 5 or 6 prequel sort of a franchise universe that they want to put into motion here. So this is just like an intermediate film between the first and then getting into the wider films, and we're going to establish Grindelwald again. And Jude Law, incidentally, Jude Law was outstanding as Dumbledore as well. Needed more of him, didn't get it, but when he was on the screen, he commanded the presence of a screen, and your eyes were firmly on him. I thought he gave a faithful interpretation of that character. There was a couple of little things in there as well, which I'll get into more on Thursday, but it was okay. It was an average to above average film. It wasn't outstanding, slightly disappointing in the story, but that's down to JK, and I don't know what went wrong there.
Yeah, before the film's release, John, I did hear the rumblings of this film is going to really be a set up for the sequels to come.
Yes.
A lot of planting of seeds, if you like. I've heard also that it's a little bloated. But you'll have a better opinion on that.
There's so many side plots, there's so many side characters, and it's just there's no real direction, clear linear direction in the story. You'd think it'd be Grindelwald wreaking havoc, Scamander and Dumbledore and these side characters coming in to try and save the day, but no, it was just getting bogged down, and we were going off visiting Credence Barebone. He's trying to find out who his family is. Not so much humour in this one as well. I think it's Kowalski, Jacob Kowalski, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was a real funny guy in the first film. Didn't really have much of an impact. He had a funny moment with Nicholas Flamel with him, which was quite funny, but wasn't that kind of a film. This was a darker tone, so they couldn't lighten it with too much humour. Yeah,
it's surprising that the film comes in at 2 hours 14 minutes as well, John. Yeah. When people are saying that this, the plot and its side stories are a little bit bloated, you'd expect the film to be at least 2.5 hours. But there you are. We'll move on now anyway, John. Yes. We'll go, obviously, into more depth discussions about this on Thursday, but we're going to move on to number 2, and it is The Grinch. It's grossed another 3.9 million over the weekend, grossing overall 10.3 million.
Yes, this was another one I went to see, Stephen. Also, I said last week I would try and get around to watching it because I wanted to compare it to the Jim Carrey release from the early 2000s. I believe it was the early 2000s anyway. I was a young chap, 2000. And I wanted to compare the two stories. Also, I've never seen the original animated cartoon, which apparently is still the best adaptation and interpretation of the original story from Dr. Seuss. Seuss. That's a 30-minute long animated cartoon, which is meant to be outstanding. This one, I thought it was okay. I mean, it's grossed 3.9 million again, taking its total gross to 10.2, as you did say, Stephen. Worldwide performance. It's doing very well, off of a $75 million budget, $215.7 million. That's not too bad. I thought the story was okay. I liked the animation. It's very slick. Stunningly shot film. Obviously, this is an Illumination Studios film, so you know what you're getting from those guys. They're outstanding at what they do. Second only to Pixar, Disney to me, with the quality of films they release. Also, these were the guys that were involved with Despicable Me and stuff like that. Secret Life of Pets. So you know what you're getting with the visuals. Slick, stunning, very beautiful. The characters, really enjoyed Benedict Cumberbatch as the Grinch. It's just, I mean, you've not seen it yet, Stephen, but it's basically a complete retelling of the Jim Carrey film, and I'm sure the cartoon before goes along and ticks all the basic plot points you see in those films. The Grinch is isolated up in this big mountain away from Whoville, I believe it's called. I can't remember the name of the town. It's terrible. I've just been to see the film and I can't remember the name. Whoville it is, and he's isolated himself. He also hates Christmas. He's got his little dog as his faithful companion. Then he goes down, obviously has to collect shopping and stuff because he's ran out of groceries or food. And we thought he'd stockpile, but he hadn't. So he goes down with his dog, becomes annoyed with the citizens of Whoville. They're really getting into the spirits of Christmas. They want to go 3 times as large, build a big tree. He becomes disenfranchised, wants to try and steal the presents and ruin Christmas. And then we slowly see his story getting drip-fed as the film goes on. He's a tragic figure. Obviously he had a tragic moment in Christmas many years previous when his family disappeared and he was left alone, and that's why he hates Christmas. Sorry if I've gave a plot away there, spoiler alert. No, but it's a classic story, you know, most people should know this. So it's not really done anything different, it's the same story retold. Really enjoyed the performances though. This is very much a Benedict Cumberbatch show, him and his little dog, which also doesn't speak because it's a bloody dog, but the bantering between those two, the back and forth gesture, facial expressions and stuff, and their antics they get up to, very cool. The little girl, Cindy Lou, I think it may be, played by Cameron Seeley, she's another main player. She was okay. So, I mean, I thought it was okay. It was a fairly decent little animated film. Touches the original story. Still prefer the Jim Carrey version, but I thought it was okay, man, and it's doing very well at the box office.
I think you're right, John. I think this has been brought up to date for this generation.
Yeah, that's what it is,
and it's not so much a retelling. It's really just expanding what's already there from the, I think it was a 30-minute animated.
Yeah, I keep hearing about this. Apparently
one,
it was
yeah.
excellent.
But I know the story by heart now. But I am, by the time this show goes out, I would have already seen the film with my daughter, so we're looking forward to it. We're going to see this tomorrow. But I did like the Jim Carrey one, just because it was a different sort of angle they took that movie in. Certainly with Jim Carrey, you're going to get different angles all the time. But just through his performance, and but this is an animated one. It's not the same as that horrendous costume that he was subjected to back in 2000. But we'll move on to number 3 this week, John. It's in its 4th week now. Is Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes.
This is obviously the Freddie Mercury Queen biopic, and it's grossed another 3 million over the weekend. Very impressive.
Yes.
For its 4th week, and it's grossed overall 35.3 million.
Yes, I mean, £35.3 million is outstanding. That's a very, very good performance indeed. I think when we first started doing box office chats, Stephen, the turning point for getting into the top 10, I want to say, all-time grossing films in the UK was about 35-40 million.
Yep.
I think that's came down quite a bit, or went up quite a bit now, because we've seen various films over the last year or so, 2 years, breaking 30-40 million, Coco, Paddington and stuff like that. Obviously Star Wars, Avengers.
Yeah.
This film's on the periphery of that. It's nearly breaking into that sort of a territory. So it's an excellent performance here in the United Kingdom for it. Worldwide performance, $472.1 million off of a $52 million budget. You look at the breakdown, it's $152 million of that in the United States, $320 million in all the other territories, foreign territories throughout the world. So this just shows you the global appeal of Freddie Mercury and of the band, obviously Queen. And listen, I'm glad to see it's doing well, because it's had a lot of shit flung at it. Also, the controversy over Bryan Singer and what he's been getting up to, which it doesn't deserve, because he stepped away halfway through. I think it was Dexter Fletcher came in. He couldn't be credited because of the rules.
Yeah.
But it's as much his film as it is Bryan Singer's. I thought it was okay. It didn't go too deep. There's a couple of inaccuracies with the timelines and stuff, where he's obviously announcing to the band he's got AIDS in 1985. Didn't happen until 87. But out with that, amazing recreation of all the live gigs, sets. I thought Rami Malek was outstanding as Freddie Mercury. Liked the band members out with him as well. I liked the brief moments we had with them together. It was obviously firmly focused on Freddie Mercury. But I thought it was a great celebration of the band's music without going too deep, which I was happy with.
Yeah.
A lot of other people weren't happy with, but look at the box office performance, Stephen. It's doing very well, so most people seem to like it.
I think Queen, their music has been sort of lying in the shadows for too long, John.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Queen fan. I like their hits, but I think from their point of view, they really want to resell themselves to, again, this generation that are not being brought up in Queen music. We all know the hits. This is another way of reinventing their product, and it's certainly working, and I think overall, with Rami Malek, playing the lead, I think it was a wise choice. And I think the band members, the real life band members, the surviving ones will be very satisfied with its performance as well, because I think Queen's albums are doing okay as well now. They're certainly, the sales are picking up once again. And as I said, it's a reintroduction of their music and their catalogue to a new generation. But we'll move on, John, to number 4 this week. It's in its 2nd week. We talked about this film last week, Widows. Still not seen it, but it grossed just under $1 million over the weekend, grossing 4.4 million overall. This is the Steve McQueen film, directed by Steve McQueen, starring Viola Davis, Michelle Rodriguez, Elizabeth Debicki, and a whole host of stars are in there. And it's about, the film is set in contemporary Chicago. Amidst a time of turmoil, 4 women with nothing in common except a debt left behind by their dead husband's criminal activities take fate into their own hands and conspire to forge a future on their own terms. I said last week I do want to see it, and I still do want to see it, because it's getting good feedback from what I've heard so far, since its release a few weeks ago. It's one of those films that it's got a great cast, it's got a interesting plot. I will give this a watch at some point. As I said, I'm going to see The Grinch tomorrow, so this will have to take a bit of a back seat until then, but I will go and see this in the cinema.
Yes, I'm the same, Stephen. I haven't yet got a chance to go and see it, just purely because I have seen The Grinch and obviously Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald. I've also got Creed 2 coming out as well, Stephen, which I definitely am going to go and watch. But, I mean, it looks great. Steve McQueen, he's a fantastic director. You know what you're getting with this guy. He's done Hunger, 12 Years a Slave, a whole host of fantastic films. And that cast is really, really outstanding. Viola Davis, as you did say. John Bernthal, Liam Neeson, Michelle Rodriguez, Daniel Kaluuya's in there. From what I've heard, he's playing an antagonistic sort of a figure. Don't know if that's true, I haven't seen it yet. But it's a very intriguing story. It's got an outstanding cast, an outstanding director, so I'm sure it'll be a very good film. You go on to Rotten Tomatoes, 91% of the critics are enjoying it. That's all critics, 85% of the top critics. Audience members, intriguingly, only 60% of them liked it. So they've got that disconnect again. Don't know who I'd side with. I suppose I'll find out when I go to actually watch it. But performance worldwide, $38.6 million off of a $42 million budget. It's not quite broke even or even made close to a profit yet when you take into terms theatre cuts and promotion. Although, incidentally, I've not seen much promotion for this film over here, so they've also not pushed it heavily in that regard. So that's not going to eat into its profit over here, at least. So it's got a while to go yet before it will make any inroads into obviously securing a profit. But story's great, director's great, as I did say. I'm repeating myself. Hopefully it will get there. I'll certainly try and help it by going and watching it sometime this week.
Yeah, but you're right, John. I don't think there was any promotion for this in the UK. Certainly didn't pick any previews up at the cinema, and definitely not on the TV.
Which was strange.
Yeah, but there you are. Some films don't need it. Some just sort of carry on regardless, and it's word of mouth that sort of picks up these things. But coming in number 5 this week, it's A Star Is Born, and it's 7th week now, grossing another 700,000 over the weekend, grossing overall 27.1 million. I think I used the phrase, we've talked the hind legs off this movie last week. It's a great film. I'm just waiting for its digital release now, John, just to add to my Blu-ray collection. I think it's a fantastic performance, switching the roles of singer and actor with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. I thought Bradley Cooper made a great singer, and I thought Lady Gaga made a great actor, which I didn't expect. But there you are. This is going to get a lot of buzz at the Oscars, I'm pretty sure. It's just one of those films that, I like a good music film. Whether or not it's based on true events or not, it doesn't really matter to me. If the music's good and the storyline's good, I can identify to it. And it's just one of those ones that I thoroughly enjoyed. Very catchy songs in there as well, and great performances all round.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's better when it's not based on a real story, Stephen, because then you haven't got any historical context to really compare it against. Also, with the Bohemian Rhapsody release we were speaking about, there was inaccuracies, and obviously fans of the real band and the real man are going to come in and criticise it or nitpick. With this case, you've not got any real characters, so it's just you've got that freedom to play the story out in whatever way you feel is right. And Eric Roth and Bradley Cooper and 7 other people apparently who were involved in this screenplay done a remarkable job, because I thought it was a beautiful film. It flowed well, showed us these 2 characters. One had a tragic down spiral, the other one had a uplifting great rise to prominence and fame. There was a whole host of very good performances in behind there as well, really backing up. Andrew Dice Clay is, I believe, as Ali's friend Lorenzo. Sam Elliott as Bobby. I think he was a manager to Bradley Cooper's Jack, but they had conflict over his dad and where he was buried or something. I can't remember it. I've not seen it in a good number of weeks now, but he had an interest in chemistry and dynamic with the Jack character. And you've got a whole host of characters in there that were very intriguing in acting performances. The music was very good. Direction was outstanding from Bradley Cooper. I do expect him to get an Oscar nomination. I expect Lady Gaga will almost certainly get an Oscar nomination for Best Actress. Worldwide performance, $353 million off of a $36 million budget. Absolutely outstanding. And you look at the 2 main players in the top 10 of the box office, they're both musical sort of inspired or heavy releases. Bohemian Rhapsody, 35.3 million, and A Star Is Born, 27.1 million. So that just shows you, if you do a good musical related film, then you're going to go over well in the United Kingdom. We've seen it time and time again. The Great Showman, La La Land, they just seem to connect well over here, and even the music's doing well on the charts.
That's right, John. The other thing, or the only thing I think people could probably nitpick at, if we're going back to what we're talking about at the start of this conversation, was that there has been 2 other versions of this movie already released. Over the last 40 50 years, I think. But I don't think that's had any effect on this version of it. Certainly it's, as you said, that worldwide grossing is unbelievable. You think how much the movie actually cost to produce. But we're going to move on, John. I think we're sticking on the musical theme here. I've never heard of this thing. This is Burn the Stage, the movie. It's in its first week. It's grossed £600,000 over the weekend. I'll put my hands up and quite proudly say that I've never heard of who BTS is. Some music group from South Korea, I believe.
Yeah, well, Stephen, if you do recall, I don't know if it was this show or it was the movie Burn a Bog Rundown. I think it was a show. We were discussing First Man, and we were discussing the current generation, perhaps not knowing about the moon landings or who Neil Armstrong was, and this is why that film wasn't connecting well with maybe this generation or younger demographics, because it didn't seem to do that great, First Man. And in fact, I'm looking at the list in the box office, £7.9 million it grossed, 6 weeks in, it's all the way down to 18th.
Yeah.
And I made a remark about some shite Korean music band, and them all been into that and really obsessed with iPads and iPhones.
That went over my head, John.
Yeah, this is the band. It's BTS. I couldn't remember the name, but it's BTS. The only reason I know this band exists, Stephen...
More like BS.
Yeah, BS. The only reason I know they exist, though, is because they were on Jimmy Fallon, I believe. And the whole of them were on Jimmy Fallon, all of them. And they were dancing with him and stuff like that and showing him dance moves. In fairness to the chaps in the band itself, man, they seem alright. They seem like nice young guys. They're just going with the flow. They've been caught in a whirlwind of fame and just... Mania. Yeah, mania. I'm not going to say Beatlemania because the Beatles are infinitely better, infinitesimally better than they will always be. They're on another level. But these guys, listen, I can't blame them for going with the flow. This to me is like their Spice World film. It's not A Hard Day's Night. Yeah. This is more like the Spice World film or the Spice Girls film. I don't know if it was called Spice World, Stephen. I seen it though, and it actually wasn't that bad a film. I
think Ken Knapsack's a big fan.
Yeah, it was actually wasn't too bad a film. This is directed by Jun Soo Park. I don't know who the hell Jun Soo Park is. I don't know who the hell BTS are either. I don't want to know who they are, other than they were on Jimmy Fallon. But look, you go on to Rotten Tomatoes. No critics have touched it with a barge pole, but it has got 2,091 ratings or reviews from the audience, and it's got a 100% rating. What a surprise. IMDb, 9.2 out of 10. Now, there's no way in this bloody earth, man, that this film is a 9.2 out of 10 film. It's not a 100% rated film. This is fans of the band who are hysteric for them. They're just crazy. They go off on that. It's just young girls get out and watching it, and they're spamming the bloody reviews, man, and giving it a positive feedback. There's no way it's that good. It may well be that good, and I'm just not going to watch it, and I'll never know. It may be the greatest bloody film that's ever been made about a band in existence, but I really doubt. I think it's just the younger audience members who love them just spamming the hell out of it, like those little DC bitches that were spamming Justice League. And then when they didn't get their wish and everybody was hating on it. Not everybody, I like Justice League to a degree. Just didn't like the CG, which was shite in parts. Yeah. And that crap Steppenwolf villain, because he was just rubbish. Still liked the dynamic of the people involved, and that moment with Superman wrecking everything when he woke up. But we're not talking about Justice League here, we're talking about BTS, the movie. Performance worldwide, it's clearly not got a widespread release as of yet, but it's grossed $3.6 million. I don't know what the hell the budget is, Stephen, and I don't care.
I'll tell you something though, John. It'll be very interesting to see how this film performs over the next few weeks in the box office, because if this is a mania, I don't know. It could linger on there. We don't know. I doubt it very much. I think possibly it might get 3-4 weeks out of the box office. Top 10, that is. £644,000 grossed off of just 212 theatres, so that's outstanding. Yeah, so hats off to them, man. That's pretty decent, isn't it, to be fair? Yeah, we're going to move on, John, to number 7 this week. It's The Nutcracker and the Four Realms, which has been described as a really bad version of Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe.
I've not seen it.
Yeah, it's in its third week, and it's grossed another £600,000 over the weekend, grossing $4.4 million. Don't even want to compare it to Lion, the Witch and Wardrobe or the Chronicles of Narnia. It's certainly not at the same level as that, John. It's got a very good cast. That's one thing I'll say it's got going for it, but it's just not. I don't know what it is. It's got here in Glasgow. It's I think it's about 19 or 20 theatres it's in, so it's got a good widespread release. And you look at one of the co-directors, Joe Johnston there. He's got a great CV when you look at the likes of, Captain America, the First Avenger, The Rocketeer, which I thought was amazing for its day. Jumanji as well, The Wolfman. Jurassic Park 3 is a bit of a...
Yeah, it was shit.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. A lot of people loved that movie. I didn't like it. But when you've got a great... The point I'm trying to make is you've got a great director, you've got a whole host of stars, it's getting a widespread release, and it just doesn't seem to be doing well with the audiences, and that's the most important thing at the end of the day. 5.6 out of 10 on IMDb, very average ratings. I'm not going to see this film. It might be one of these ones that's going to crop up on Sky Movies at some point, that my daughter might catch her eye and we'll sit down and watch it or something like that, but I'm not going out my road to see this movie. Yeah,
it's certainly not a Chronicles of Narnia type affair, Stephen, in terms of box office performance and just critical response. It's not doing very well. It's at $120 million production budget, just grossed just over $122 million and 61,000. So it's not great. It's just, I mean, I'm not even going to say it's broke even, because it hasn't.
No.
Because they have promoted this. I've seen adverts for this. That takes a chunk out of the budget. Theatres have to take their cut. It's a flop. But Disney don't give a shit. As I've said time and again, they've grossed about $7 or $8 billion for this year alone. They've still got Ralph Breaks the Internet coming out. They've still got Mary Poppins Returns. They don't care, man. They're rolled in it. They are rolling in money. So this is just one of those little side releases they fire out. If it does well, it does well. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
I would class the likes of Christopher Robin as one of those ones, John, and it does relatively well. This hasn't. No,
but listen, by all accounts, people seem to know the story. I don't know anything about this story. I've never heard of it in my life. It seems to be quite popular over in the United States. A lot of people seem to have good and fond memories of this story. I think it's a short story. Should have mentioned that before. But it's just not a good interpretation, which is a shame, because you've got the likes of Mackenzie Foy, brilliant actress, Keira Knightley and Morgan Freeman in there. And it's got a great cast. Jack Whitehall as well, Richard E. Grant, Matthew McFadden. It's got a really good cast across the board. And so it's just a shame it's not went over well with audience members, but that happens. You've seen it before. You've seen it with that other crap film where Oprah Winfrey was in it, the one that went off to different worlds. Zach Galifianakis was in it. Just didn't go over well at all. I can't remember for the life of me what that film was called. I never did go down to seeing it, just because it was apparently utter shite, just like this. And that was a Disney release as well. But look, I did like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and I also liked Jumanji back in the day. So Joe Johnston, surprised he's putting his name to this other pile of shit, but ain't get much more to add to it. It's flopped. That's life. Disney don't care, and I'd care even less than Disney do. So hey-ho.
Number 8 this week, John, it is Johnny English Strikes Again. And again, because I think for a few weeks we thought this was the sequel to Johnny English, the 2004 release.
Yes, we did.
You know, the one in the middle just sort of slipped by us.
English Reborn or something.
Yeah, it came out, I think, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yes.
Didn't know anything about it. It's in its 7th week anyway, John. It's grossed another 200,000. Grossed overall 17.6 million. We said from day one on this we weren't going to see this movie. Now that I know that I've not seen the second part, I don't think it would be wise for me to jump a film and move on to the third instalment of this franchise. But that doesn't mean I'm going to go back and watch the second one either, just to catch up on what Johnny English is all up to. It's I've said this before. I've said it time and time again. I'll say it probably for the last time, I hope. Austin Powers covered all this, and I was fed up with Austin Powers after the second movie. And I'm a big Mike Myers fan. I'm a big Ron Atkinson fan as well. Blackadder is some of his greatest work. All the series, all the incarnations of Blackadder was fantastic. Mr. Bean, take it or leave it, bit slapstick, bit silly for me. But Johnny English, I saw the first movie, I just wasn't feeling it at all. But hats off to it, it's done really well, this third film in the franchise, and I think Ron Atkinson will be more than satisfied with its performance. Yeah, it has done very well over here, Stephen. £17.6 million, outstanding performance for a film which is a third instalment in a franchise, which we'd think wouldn't be capable of making those sort of numbers, but I'm wrong. But it's dropped 57% in this weekend, or that weekend that we're covering, because it's always a week behind. It's dropped 57% on the performance from the previous weekend, and it's down 149 theatres as well. So all things are going downwards for this film now. It will drop out of the box office pretty shortly, I'm sure of that. Or what may not, it might just stay in there to haunt us, Stephen, for another couple of weeks, so we have to talk about it.
Worldwide performance, $142 million off of a $25 million budget. Outstanding. It is what it is. I says I wasn't going to see it. I snuck in to see the last 5 or 10 minutes of the film. Didn't stay for 5 or 10 minutes, incidentally. I know it was the ending. I'm sure it was. Because it was a big cognitive, free perspective thing. Rowan Atkinson was running around with a bloody knight of armour suit on, and I just walked out shaking my head. So I'm definitely not going to go back and watch the entirety of this film, because it's not for me.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to move on to number 9 in this week's box office, and it's Suspiria. Obviously the remake of the classic 1970s horror film. This is directed by, I believe, Luca Guadagnino, and it's grossed £166,000 at the weekend, showing in just 77 theatres. That's got to be the lowest number of theatres I've seen a film in the top 10 have, and it's obviously it's in its opening weekend, so it's grossed £166,000. I probably will get round to watching this film at some point, Stephen. I don't know if I would go and see it in the theatre. I may, but 2.5 hours long just seems a little bit long for me to go and watch a horror film which is getting average reviews. 61% from all the critics, just 44% from top critics, although 74% of the audience seem to like it, so get that disconnect again.
Yeah, I remember we talked about this, John, back in the podcast days.
Yeah.
Just when you mentioned the director's name, it kind of refreshed my memory. And I know Darren's looking forward to seeing this, our senior writer. He's a big horror fan, to be fair. Coming in at 2 hours and 32 minutes, quite a duration for a horror movie, isn't it? 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb as well. It's got a great cast.
It has got a great cast.
Dakota Johnson, Tilda Swinton, to name a few.
Chloe Grace Moretz.
Yeah, they're all there. Yeah. It's just one of those films that I think, I'm like you, I will get round to seeing it. And as you said, John, this is a remake of I think it was the 1977 movie. Which I have never seen, but I've heard that it's a lot shorter than this one.
Yeah, it's a lot shorter.
Yeah, so there you are.
All I know is it's very violent, Stephen, and apparently this one is crazy, very violent as well. But it's a little bit strange. I think the tone, some of the criticisms are saying it's a little bit all over the place, the tone of the film, which surprises me with Luca Guadagnino, but hey ho, these things happen.
It's getting limited release as well, is that right?
Yeah, it's strange, 77 theatres.
Yeah. I'll be honest, when we were talking about this back in the podcast days, I thought this was going to be on Netflix. I thought it was going to have a good run on Netflix, perhaps, maybe, and having a limited run in the theatres. You
say that, Stephen. I've just looked at Box Office Mojo, and the distributor is Amazon Studios, so that may explain why it's only getting a limited theatrical release then. And then it'll go straight to Amazon Studios, obviously Amazon Prime, you would presume, because that's the only way you can justify that poor performance at the box office, because it's got a stellar cast, as you said, a very good and well-renowned director, and it's been getting good. I seem to recall it getting fairly decent buzz about it, but looking at the critical responses, I did say it's not so good now that it's released, but I'll probably watch it at some point. I don't own Amazon Prime, so I don't know how the hell I'm going to watch it, but if it maybe becomes available in hard copy, I'll buy it and give it a bash, because it intrigued me. But I'm not going to go to the cinema to watch a 2.5 hour long horror film, which by all accounts is all over the place in terms of tone. I mean, just to give you an example, this is one of the reviewers from the Chicago Sun-Times. They say, ambitious, grandiose, occasionally compelling, but far more often irritating and laughable. So do I want to go and subject myself to this for 2.5 hours? I doubt it.
Yeah, we're just going to move on to our final movie this week, John. It's Smallfoot, and it's coming in at number 10. It's in its 6th week now. It's grossed another 200,000 over the weekend. I think this might be the last we see this in the top 10, to be fair. And it's grossed overall 10.8 million. I took my daughter to see this movie all those weeks ago, a month and a half ago, I think it was, and it was a good film. It was a simple message, clear message about acceptance, and everyone should just go on. It was great. The animation was fantastic as well. I liked the characters. I liked the voice work from the cast as well, Channing Tatum, etc. Thought it was a good story. It was kind of layered. A lot of the stuff that went over the kids' head, certainly the adults got, and vice versa. And it was a great film, but I don't think it's going to be in the top 10 for much longer. No, it's going to drop out. Definitely, Stephen. You look at the performance, £10.8 million for a fairly small budgeted, I'd presume, animated film. That's very good. It's very good indeed. It's from Warner Brothers, and it's grossed $209.3 million worldwide now, so it's got to have made a decent little profit.
I did enjoy it. I thought it was slick, funny, very funny in parts, which surprised me. There were some good performances in there, most notably from Channing Tatum, James Corden, Zendaya, and obviously Common had a great rap moment in the middle of the film, which was cool visually and in terms of the music. It had great underlying themes, obviously satire about your man Trump, just the way he's dealing with things, want to build walls all over the place. And it had a great positive message to present, whilst superficially giving the children exactly what they wanted. And I'm glad to see it's done very well, because it's a decent little animated film. I've only seen it once. I'm not going to go and see it again, because it's reaching the end of its theatrical release, let's be honest, and I've got other things to watch now. But glad to see it's done very well at the box office, and that is going to bring us to the end of this week's episode of Box Office Chat, where we do discuss all the top 10 films within the United Kingdom's box office. We'd just like to thank you for listening to us once again, and we will be back tomorrow with Movie Burner News.
Remember guys, if you enjoyed that episode, then do hit that like button, comment below, and maybe subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already. If you want to follow us on social media for all the latest updates from Movie Burner Entertainment, then we can be found on Twitter and Facebook at Movie Burners. You can also listen to us on Google Play and iTunes at the Movie Burner Podcast. And last but not least, if you want to access all the latest written reviews and the occasional article, then that can be found on our website at movieburnerentertainment.org. Until the next time, goodbye.